Space Could Be an Issue by Annabeth Chase. For generations, Camp Half-Blood had only 12 cabins, one for each major Olympian deity. The odd-numbered cabins were dedicated to the Olympic gods. The even ones were the Olympic goddesses, except for Cabin 12, which Dionysus took over when Hestia gave him her seat on the Council of Olympus. But that's another story. Anyway, after the Titan War, my kind-hearted boyfriend Percy made the Olympians promise that all demigods, not just the kids of the Major 12, would have cabins of their own, which is just like Percy, doing something impulsive and compassionate and making my life difficult in the process. See, I'm the camp's resident architect, which meant that the task of designing all those new cabins fell to me. Don't get me wrong, I supported Percy's plan 100%. But after building Units 13 through 16, Hades, Iris, Hypnos, and Nemesis, the cabin area started to look cramped. I met with Chiron to discuss the problem. Space, I told him, could be an issue.
Any ideas?
Chiron asked. I brainstormed aloud. We build upward, combine new cabins into one tall complex, demigods associated with the Earth on lower levels, with the sky on top.
Chiron shook his head. Intriguing idea, but experience has shown me that demigods from different families don't cohabitate well.
Okay, scratch that. I pointed at the nearby forests. What about tree houses? Enclosed platforms, elevated walkways, ladders, rope swings?
Chiron cut me off. The dryads would never go for it, and imagine what would happen if a demigod took to sleepwalking.
Caves?
Only one available, and Apollo has claimed it for his oracle.
Houseboats?
Sleepwalking again, plus the Naiads would nix it. Also, we need the lake for trireme practice.
I cast around for inspiration, my eyes fixed on Hestia, who was tending her hearth at the center of the commons. You'd think a major Olympian goddess would attract a lot of notice sitting in the middle of camp, but Hestia came and went without any fanfare, usually in the shape of a girl in plain brown robes. I hadn't noticed her, because she was so small and low profile. Small and low profile. An idea hit me like a Zeus-thrown thunderbolt. I'll get back to you tomorrow, I told Chiron. The old centaur chuckled.
I know that look. You have an idea.
Yes, I admitted. In fact, my brain was buzzing. But I want to work out some details before I share it with you. See you at breakfast! That night, I worked into the wee hours, pausing only to, wee. In the morning, I had my blueprints ready, but I still needed more time. At breakfast, I broke the news to Chiron. I want to set up a construction site in the southern woods.
He furrowed his bushy eyebrows. You're not thinking of building the cabins there, are you? As I said, the dryads won't.
I just need a secluded area to work. I won't build anything big or permanent in that space. Trust me on this, okay?
Chiron stroked his beard. Well, you've never let me down before, and I do owe you for designing those centaur-sized bathrooms for the big house. Very well, Annabeth, you have my permission.
The next few days were a feverish blur of measuring, sawing, and hammering. By week's end, I'd completed a full-scale model of my design, pre-mounted on a wheeled platform for easy moving. I bribed my Pegasus friends, Blackjack and Pork Pie, with some donuts, and they agreed to haul my creation out of the woods and into the commons. A few campers wandered over to see what I'd built. "It's super cute!" gushed Lacey from the Aphrodite cabin. "But what is it?"
"A portable storage shed," Clarice LaRue guessed, eyeing the wheels. "Or a covered chariot. No, wait! It's a rapid deployment outhouse."
"None of the above," I replied, slightly offended. "I call it a tiny house. Check it out." I threw open the door and invited them in, a few at a time. The main sitting room was compact but perfectly livable. 2 built-in cushion benches along the walls doubled as beds. I lifted the cushions. And see? There's storage underneath the beds for your clothes, armor, weapons. It's even long enough for that electric spear of yours, Clarice.
Uh-huh.
Clarice sounded unimpressed, but that didn't dampen my enthusiasm. I pointed to the narrow staircase against the back wall. Upstairs is a loft with 2 more twin beds, or it could be used as a game room, meeting area, whatever. I made the ceiling extra high so headroom isn't an issue. Under the stairs is more built-in storage, but the best part is over here. I squeezed past them and rolled open a narrow pocket door in the window. Ta-da!
So it is an outhouse, Clarice said.
It's a private bathroom, I corrected. Whoever lives here never has to use the common facilities again. I smirked at her, remembering the drenching Percy had once given her by blowing up the camp toilets. You, of all people, should appreciate that.
Clarice reddened. I'm coming down with claustrophobia.
She shoved past me and out the door. I turned to Lacey. You see the potential here, right? Micro-houses are the future. This is cutting-edge architecture. She looked at the whitewashed walls, taupe cushions, and unadorned windows. Well, it's kind of boring inside. It's only the model, I said defensively. Whoever lives here can decorate it however... A tap on the door interrupted me. Chiron poked his head in and frowned.
I would come in for a tour, but, I fear there is no room.
Good luck, Lacey whispered to me. Then she slipped past Chiron and hurried away. I got out of the way so Chiron could come in and clop around the tiny house. It was large enough to accommodate him, but just barely. The entire walkthrough took him about 3 steps. When he emerged again, he looked deep in thought. It's only the model, I told him. He focused on me as if trying to process my words. Then he exhaled with relief.
Oh, a model. I see. In that case, yes, this might work.
He scanned the cabin area as if calculating the acreage.
We'll need about 4, don't you think? Please proceed with construction.
Designing and building one tiny house had been fun. Constructing 4? I was over the moon. I won't let you down, Chiron. 2 weeks later, I let him down. I had been working overtime to modify my original design. I widened the doorways for better access. I got some magical paint from the Hephaestus cabin, so the exterior color of each new micro-building could be changed with just a touch, making each one unique. I applied everything I knew about extra-dimensional construction to create impossibly deep storage containers, a larger shower in the bathroom, and built-in furniture that could be moved, collapsed, or reshaped as desired. With a snap of your fingers, you could turn the living room into a bedroom, or a gym, or a dining room, or a military command center that even Clarice would be proud of. I added a dozen pre-programmed interior decorating schemes so Lacey could never accuse the space of being boring. When I finally rolled out the new cabins and proudly presented them to Chiron, I expected him to be pleased. Instead, he looked puzzled.
Is this it?
I frowned. You asked for 4, right?
4 cabins, not 4 models.
My spirits deflated like a bunch of month-old party balloons.
Oh dear, Chiron murmured when he saw my face. That model you showed me, that was the full-size cabin, wasn't it?
I nodded. That was the whole point, wasn't it? Saving space? I thought smaller buildings... He kindly laid his hand on my shoulder.
Annabeth, your work is exemplary, but as lovely as these units are, I fear that children of, lesser deities, for lack of a better term, will not appreciate accommodations so much smaller than the other cabins.
The flaw in my concept was so obvious. I couldn't believe I hadn't considered it. The whole point of Percy's plan was so our new recruits and their godly parents would feel included at camp. Equal, not lesser. But they wouldn't see my tiny houses as fun, minimalist living spaces. They'd see it as yet another snub from the more powerful deities and their kids. I was so embarrassed. I wanted to crawl under a rock. I'll get Harley to blow up the tiny houses, I mumbled. He'll like that. I turned to go, but Chiron stopped me.
Wait a moment.
He studied the units.
These have wheels.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to have wheels, but I thought...
Perhaps I was too hasty, Chiron said. Let me try something.
He put his shoulder to the closest mini-cabin and pushed it toward the next one in line. Having the strength of a stallion, Chiron had no trouble moving the tiny houses around. A few more shoves, and he had arranged the 4 units so they were back-to-back, 2 on either side. The slanted rooftops joined into one centerline peak. In short, The tiny houses looked as if they'd been designed to fit together in a single structure that was about the same size as the older cabins.
You know, Chiron said, I think this might work quite nicely for our newest pair of demigods. He called across the commons. Holly! Laurel!
Identical twin girls who had been arguing on the steps of the Hermes cabin raced over, each trying to push each other out of the way so she could be first. "What's up?" asked the one on the left. "Contest?" the one on the right asked eagerly. "World War?"
Something even more exciting, Chiron promised. Annabeth, I'd like you to meet Laurel and Holly Victor, recently claimed daughters of Nike, the goddess of victory. Laurel, Holly, this is Annabeth Chase, the most gifted architect at camp. She redesigned the palaces of Mount Olympus.
The twins' eyes widened in amazement. I felt a little self-conscious with Chiron praising me. I was, in fact, the only architect at camp. But that bit about redesigning Mount Olympus, that was true. It was the centerpiece of my college admissions portfolio.
What you see in front of you, Chiron continued, is Annabeth's latest triumph. Completely customizable, modular cabins.
Laurel edged toward the nearest tiny house. She peeked inside the door. It's small.
Ah, but it's not, Chiron said. It's private. Each module is for a maximum of 4 people. How many do you have to live with right now in the Hermes cabin?
Like 1,000, Holly grumbled. All losers, too. I didn't think the Hermes kids would appreciate that, but I understood what Chiron was trying to do. I chimed in. These modules are brand new. The bathrooms are state-of-the-art. Laurel's eyes lit up. Bathrooms? In the cabin? Yep, I said. The furniture is programmable. The exterior colors, the interior design, it can be changed to however you want. I touched the nearest cabin, willing it to turn from dull red to bright silver. Whoa, said Holly. But we can't give brand new cabins like this to just anyone, I said. Whoever gets these, everyone else at camp will be totally jealous. We need to find the absolute best campers. Us, Holly said. Obviously. Me, Laurel corrected her sister, with you as a distant second. So who wants to claim a bunk first? Me! The sisters yelled simultaneously. They charged to the same front door, growling as they tried to push each other out of the way. Then they split apart and made for different entrances. Shouts rang out from the inside of the cabins. "I'll get to my loft before you!" one sister cried. "Ha! No chance, loser! I'm already halfway up!" Chiron turned toward me and smiled.
There we are. Modular units that can be rearranged and moved as desired. Each cluster can be as big or as small as we need it to be. More campers can be fit into the same amount of space as a regular cabin, but with more privacy and better accommodations. Annabeth Chase, you are a genius.
I listened to the sounds of pounding footsteps and triumphant crowing from the Victor sisters as they argued about whose module was the coolest. Thanks, I told Chiron. Genius was exactly what I was going for. My tiny house mashup brought the cabin count to 17. 3 more units, Hebe, Tyche, and Hecate, were added afterward, and construction crews are ready to build more. Space might still be an issue someday, depending on how many gods we end up needing to represent. But you know what? Not one person has complained about my tiny houses being too tiny. In fact, when I get out of college, I may go into business designing portable microhousing for demigods. It beats building rapid response outhouses, at least.